A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to everybody to yet another very interesting webinar session. I'm Anjali Tiwari. I'm a faculty with Westford University College. We Connect at Westford is an initiative from the University College aimed at building a connection between inspirational industry professionals who would share real-life scenarios by discussing industry trends and performances across modern-day organizations in a fun, engaging, and an interactive manner. Our goal is to bring together bright minds to give talks that are idea focused on a wide range of subjects, along with fostering learning, inspiration, and most importantly, wonder. As a speaker, they connect with the students through their own career journeys. They share the ups and downs, the choices they make, and more. Most importantly, provoke conversations that matter. As we all know, please remember to put in your questions in the chat box. And after the talk is over, the speaker will be resolving and answering all the questions and queries that we have through the talk. Well, the topic today, I'm sure, is close to everyone's heart: how to pursue your dreams. I'm quite confident when I say that all of us want to do something, want to achieve something. We all have aspirations and dreams. Could be professional, financial, spiritual. We all have dreams, and who better to speak to us on this topic than a person who has achieved and is living her dreams. I'm super excited to introduce to you today our speaker, Dr. Ruchi Dana. Dr. Ruchi is a qualified medical practitioner who has transitioned successfully into a seasoned entrepreneur and a business leader. Dr. Ruchi has done her MD from AMU and a full-time MBA from Stanford University. She has also got her PMP certificate in public management and social innovation from Stanford University. Dr. Ruchi is a frequent speaker at various industry conferences and sits on multiple corporate, startup, nonprofits, and university boards. She is recognized by Forbes Middle East as the next generation business leader, Arab world, for 3 consecutive years, 2017 to 2019. She has also been recognized by Campden Wealth as the woman to watch in the September 18. And she has also been recognized as the top family business leader 2019 by Campden Research UK. Recently, Dr. Ruchi was featured on the Forbes Middle East Top Power Businesswomen 2020. Totally delighted to have her with us to share, and I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Ruchi.
Thank you so much, Anjali. Thank you so much,
Anjali.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to be here. It's always good to speak to the students and the educational institutes, because that's where the key lies for all the success that you achieve later on in life. The main hard work and everything that you have to do is right through the college days. And also I would love to go through my journey right through college to where I am today, and I would love to have a little bit of interaction as well. So I've prepared a couple of polls as well. I would love to get your questions from the audience, and let's begin. So yeah, the slides are here. So Anjali already gave you a brief introduction about myself. I'll just try to go through the struggles that I went through this journey. So I was born and raised in the Middle East. I was born in Libya. And I did part of my schooling from Libya, and then our family moved to Dubai. So I did part of my schooling from Dubai. And for my medical college, I went to India. So I'll tell you, the journey to the medical college was not very smooth. I was in my 11th standard when I was actually in the evenings, I was taking tuitions from a teacher. And I was an average student in the class. And one of the days that really changed my life was when I went to the tuition that day. The teacher just pointed to the class and said, one of you would make through in the medical entrance examinations this year. And everybody was looking at each other, that who would it be, and it was a class of around 80 students, and there was a lot of mumbles going on and all. And I didn't even care to look up, because I was busy doodling on my paper, and because I wasn't a very sharp student back in those days, so I didn't even care to look up. And then suddenly there was a lot of silence, and when I looked up, the teacher was actually pointing at me, and he said, Ruchi, you'll crack the medical entrance examinations this year. And that was like, there were like goosebumps all over my body. Like, the entire class was like looking at me in surprise, and they were sort of like appreciating the moment. And everybody stood up, and that was a moment that I would never forget. And I was thinking to myself when I was going back from the tuition that day, that what was the reason that the teacher just did that? Because like, that actually gave me a lot of motivation. It gave me a lot of recognition, and it made me do a lot of hard work later on as well. But the reason that the teacher did that was that, like, a couple of days back in the same tuition, he had asked, like, there was a problem set written on the board, and he had asked us students to solve it, and I was the one that was able to solve it in a very long way. I took a lot of time to solve it, but at least I was able to solve it. And those things were not taught in the class till that time. It was just through common sense and through deriving certain formulas that I reached to the solution. But like, I reached to the solution, and that was a problem set for the students that were in the engineering courses for the IITs and all. So it wasn't for the medical background students. So I think he saw that I had the capability to actually work towards like these difficult problem sets and all, but I myself didn't know that. So like, it was a shock to me, because and now that the teacher believed in me, now that the entire class believed in me, it made me believe in myself. So it was like some sort of external validation that actually helped me propel my journey forward. Because even though, like, let's say I was a capable student, I had the basic common sense and all of that, but like, if I didn't put in the enough hard work, I wouldn't have been able to reach the medical college entrance examinations or the MBA examinations, or anything like that. Because like, even though you might be talented, you might be very smart and all, but like, there's always a requirement of discipline and hard work that's required to make it a success. Because like, there's some qualities that you're born with, but then there's some sort of like hard work that you have to do to get to the next stage. So here, today, I'm proud to stand before you to say that I'm a doctor now, and I was actually the first student of my university to get travel grants from the university to go abroad and present papers and publish papers. Usually, it's just the professors that get these travel grants, and I was really excited about like doing some innovative stuff in my medical college days. So I was working a lot on low cost medical devices, and I really wanted to commercialize these devices. So this is the time when I was actually publishing papers. I went to Spain for like for this paper and all. I was really excited about my life. But as and when the graduation time came, I really wanted to start a company, do something in the medical device space. And I went to my professors who were my mentors back in medical college days. And I told them that this is what I want to do. But like, even the best of professors in medical college back in those days, in 2008, they didn't really understand the language of business. Because like, to start a company, that's something they're very different, and it's a little bit of risk taking as well. And doctors as such, especially like professors who are in medical colleges, they are like academicians. They would love to like write one more paper in a peer reviewed journal rather than like take a very big risk in terms of starting a company and all. And they didn't actually know the language of business, and that's something that's lacking in the Indian education system these days. So that's the reason I thought that I should go for an MBA, and I applied to various business schools. I got through into almost all of them. I went for the MIT Admit Weekend as well, and I got a full scholarship from MIT Sloan for the MBA. But when the Stanford result came, I immediately chose Stanford, mainly because of the Stanford biodesign program that they have. So this is the Stanford biodesign program. So apart from my full-time 2 years MBA, I also took this program at Stanford. So what happens here is there's a lot of new innovation that comes across from this program. It's at the intersection of various disciplines. So there are doctors, engineers, lawyers, MBA students, PhD students who take this program to solve for unmet clinical needs. So this is exactly what I wanted to do in my life, and it was like a dream come true. But I would like to stress again that it was just because of that moment, because of that teacher who made me believe in my capability, that I could actually reach to this point of time. Because like, if it wasn't for him, then I would have like definitely passed the exams and all of that, but not to like something really special, because I was lacking putting in like enough hard work and all into my life till that moment, but that moment actually changed the entire perspective. And that's what I believe in till now. Like anytime you need to like show your leadership skills, it's always about like recognizing the other person, putting him first. That's when you get like followers. That's when you are able to actually be a better leader, because in the end you need others to like put in the best of their efforts to get you to the next stage, get them to the next stage, and I appreciate that. So this is the Stanford Biodesign program. It's all about like innovations in medical devices, low cost medical devices, biotech, life science, healthcare. So at Stanford, again, I got a very good opportunity to lead a team to China, and our team actually won the NIH grant from the US government to go for needs finding, and I led the trip. So this is when I was in China with my Stanford like students. And it was again a very exciting point of time. Like getting a grant from the US government was a big thing. And again, I was publishing papers and all, and I really wanted to commercialize these devices. So I'll just pause here for a bit and start a poll, because I really want to know like the audience here, and try to understand what are their motivations going forward. So I'm just starting a poll here. Can you guys see the poll now? Yeah. Okay, I can see the answers coming in. So in this slide, I'm just showing like how much I was able to achieve since then. So I've been on some good list, and I'm very much involved in the healthcare space. I managed to get some very good board positions, and I would like to highlight one board here, that University of California, Chico, USA. So I actually sit on the board of the cybersecurity program there. So that's something that's completely different from my field of like expertise and all. But the reason that I wanted to get on that board was that I knew that cybersecurity is one skill that would be looked like asked for in the near future, and there's a huge need for cybersecurity at the moment. And that's what I would like to convey to the students as well. Like just be on the lookout for the new things that are happening in your fields, like whichever field you want to choose later on as well. Like just be aware about like what are the trends, what are the upcoming trends, what are the things that would be like really critical going forward. So cybersecurity is one of those things, and AI, ML, definitely those are things that you should look out for. So we are living in very special times these days. So like the amount that got spent while building your smartphone these days was around more than 900,000 worth, because the kind of applications you have on your smartphone these days actually took more than $900,000 worth of amount to actually bring them to life, and you have these on your phone for free. So you don't actually need to wait to be in the Silicon Valley to start your own company, because you can start your company from anywhere these days. The cost of these resources and everything's available on the cloud, so you don't really need to be in any particular place to start a company. It's opportunities are everywhere, and you need to just like pursue your dreams and work on things that you're really passionate about. Because what happens in the startup world is that oftentimes like there's a very big hype, you're really excited about your idea, then you go to the market, you launch your beta, and then you see that there's not enough product market fit. So like there's a trough of sorrow, and then you wake up again, and like there are a number of ups and downs that happen in a startup entrepreneur's life. So it's really important that you're passionate about the things that you're solving for, because if you don't have that passion within you, then it becomes really difficult to sustain for the long term, to be resilient, to get back up again after going through all these troubles. So I would love to go through a little bit about the trends in medical innovation. So like there are a lot of things happening in the medical side of things. There's wearable in AI. There's like a lot of applications specifically in radiology, like X-rays, CT scans, MRI scans. These days, even for COVID-19, there are a number of things that are coming up just because of the scans, and like using AI and deep learning to assess the images. Then there are a lot of analytical tools, data tools. There's also like this new concept of remote patient monitoring that has become really important these days. And there are a number of startups that are actually working on outcome based results, and I think that would completely change the healthcare expenditures for various countries as well. Because if you try to focus on the outcomes, then the entire industries, the various stakeholders like hospitals, medical colleges, big pharma, everybody would be like wanting to understand like how to reduce the cost of the patient spent. Then the number of innovations happening in the blockchain area as well. Like for example, there's a company that's actually doing a lot in terms of genetic testing on the blockchain. So like if your data is getting sold to a big pharma company later on, maybe like 5 years down the line, it could still be traceable and you'll get like an amount for that. Then in terms of artificial innovation happening, I'll just quickly go through these slides because I think that there are not many like medical related people here. So there's virtual reality, augmented reality. These are things that are coming up in the operation theater as well. So I can personally tell you about a startup that was working on the AR VR space. So they actually wanted the doctors to wear these goggles and do surgeries. But like once you come up with an idea, it's really important to like go to the first customers and try to understand whether doctors, they are really not comfortable using like headsets and all of that in their operation room. So things, there's a long way to go. A lot of things might be changing later on as well, but it's good to be on the lookout of the new technologies that will be coming up in this space. So this is an example of simulation surgeries. So like teaching medical college students about how to do surgeries later on. So this is actually an example of a robot, like a surgical robot peeling off a grape. And if you look closely at the video, it's around August 11, 2010. So that means like this technology is like more than 10 years old. In fact, it's more than 20 years old because like the earliest robotic surgery system was developed more than 20, 25 years back, mainly for the US Army when they were doing they were trying to take care of the soldiers in Afghanistan. So after that, the robot peeling up the grape, the robot actually stitched up the grape skin back. So this is how like precise the robots can be, and this was like more than 10 years back. So if you look at the current landscape for robotic surgery, then there are more than 77 companies working in the space. But like if you look at the cost of these robots, it's very, very expensive. So what we did was we tried to look at the scenario of various countries and the healthcare spend, and we realized that MENA and Southeast Asia regions are actually the future growth drivers. Then we came up with the needs about whether like the current need that we were trying to solve at Stanford, was that a valid need. So we came up with a need called if you look at the older, a lot of people are actually going for knee replacement surgeries, and it's a growing epidemic right now. So we came up with the concept of having a low cost robot, and that could be really mobile. It could be used even in the villages, in the most rural parts of the country. And it has actually an AI pre-scan. So you take like the existing CT scan and MRI scan images of the patient, and you create a 3D model of the bone. And then like the robot has 6 TOF, means 6 degrees of freedom, and it does the entire surgery on its own, but it's still controlled by the surgeon at all points of time, and it's really low cost. So that's what we are working on right now. So if you look at the green areas, these are the areas where like the robot would burr away. So instead of like having crude instruments like the normal orthopedicians use, like cutting saw and bone saw and the drilling bits, this is actually just a burring tool that the robot has at the end, and it burrs away the unhealthy bone portion, and it drills the hole at which the implant can fit. So it's really precise. And this is the team. So I'm here at the UCSF hospital in San Francisco. So this was an example of frugal innovation, because if you look at robotic surgery, it's very, very expensive. But the way how we were able to like reverse engineer the entire thing was that we were able to bring down the cost, we were able to bring down the carbon footprint as well. Because if you look at markets like Southeast Asia, Middle East, Africa, then like if you come up with like really fancy solutions to problems, then and if the price point is very high, then it would not be able to sustain the product market fit, or go out in the market. So there's a huge need for frugal innovation. So instead of having like a thing that's doing on multiple things, it's really important to focus on the core need, the problem that you're trying to solve, and work on it in a very low cost and efficient manner. So here's a startup that's actually in India. It's using thermal imaging, thermal mammogram for early screening of breast cancer. So I'm one of the advisors for the NGO that implements this. So they have been able to change the entire way how breast cancer used to be screened. Because if you look at the villages and all, like people don't really pay attention to screening for breast cancer because they cannot leave their entire children and the family back at home and go to the city to get their mammogram done, right? So this is something that is just a camera and a normal laptop. It can be used in any of the mobile vans or anywhere, and it just screens people on the spot. So there's no need for the ladies to go to the primary healthcare centers and get their mammograms done. Instead, the team actually comes to the villages and screens one village at a time. So that becomes a very important value add for the patients that are there in the villages who might not be able to access this kind of care. So I'm one of the advisors for the NGO that said using this technology. So here I wanted to stress about the no barriers movement. So I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Eric Winmer, who's the first blind man who was able to travel to climb the entire Mount Everest, and he went on the Grand Canyons and all of that. So he started his own movement that's called the No Barriers movement. So what he stresses there is that what's within you is stronger than what will come behind, like between you and the end goal. So you are so strong that if you put your mind to anything, you'll be able to achieve that. So in this picture, I'm trying to show Mandy Harvey, who's actually a deaf lady who is singing here, and she went deaf at an early age, and but she really had this dream of singing. So here, if you notice that she's not wearing her shoes, the shoes are on the side, and she's standing on the stage and she's singing. And the way that she was able to get here was that she went to Eric Winman and she was like really crying and saying that I really wanted to pursue my dream, but now that I'm deaf, I cannot do anything about it. So he told her about this line, and then she worked really hard. She actually used to have her hands on her vocal cords at on her throat all the time to understand like whether she was singing at the right pitch and all. She used various apps and the help of her friends and all to understand whether she was singing at the right pitch and all, because like, as a deaf person you cannot really judge whether you're doing the right thing. So here the reason she's not wearing any shoes is because she's actually waiting to hear the bass and the signals from the feet, from the sole of her feet, because like if you have loud music you can actually sense the tempo and all. So that's the reason she's not wearing any shoes, and she actually got the golden buzzer for at America's Got Talent, and she's pursuing her dream now. So this is the power of your own human mind, and the power of discipline and hard work, because that's how you actually get to success. Because like even if you might have talent, if you don't put in the amount of hard work and discipline that's required, then it's really difficult to get to the next stage. So here I'm trying to give an example of leadership. So if you look at Indra Nooyi, she still writes more than 400 letters each year to the parents of her senior executives, and in these letters she tries to thank the parents of the senior executives for the senior executives upbringing and all of that. And that's the reason she got like a very good approval rating from her staff and all, and that's how she was able to reach to the higher ranks as well. So this shows empathy. So I'm trying to stress that there's one portion that's known as IQ, but it's also very much important to have an EQ, because only if you have the EQ then you'll be able to relate to other people, try to understand what are their motivations, and try to make them understand your end goal and make your vision very clear with them, and that's how they'll help you in making the entire project a success. So these are the 3 P's of human leadership. It's performance. Performance means you put up a goal, and then you think about what do you and your team deliver to the world, and is everybody clear on their roles. So that means you have to over communicate. Then there's nothing known as over communication. You always have to communicate and communicate again, because you never know whether the other person was really listening to you or not. And these days it's a little bit of challenge because of COVID-19, that you somehow can never make up whether the other person really understood what you're trying to say or not. So it's important to follow up as well after communication. Follow up from one person to another and try to make sure whether people actually understood what you're trying to say or not. Then the second P is passion. So passion is what you do and why do you do it. So there's a very good book by Simon Sinek called Finding Your Why. I really believe in that, because like that shows you that like what is it you're trying to pursue, and why is it that you're trying to pursue that. And that, once you have that clear in your mind, then you can actually convince anybody that comes in your way, and try to make them like be aligned to your goals. And the third piece, persona means like, are you acting the way that you'd like to be remembered? Because what happens is like, oftentimes if your team members, they have a problem and all, if they know that you'll pick up the phone maybe at 11 p.m. in the night, then that's your persona. So they'll not hesitate to reach out to you at any point of time. And it's really important to show that you are available for them. You are there no matter what. Especially in times of crisis like COVID-19, you need to show that you are really able to understand what people want, and show that you are there for other people. So passion is your why. I can see a question about the book. So this is the book, Finding Your Why by Simon Sinek, and I would highly recommend this book, because there's so much taught in this book. I can give you a short example about what your why means. So if you think about JFK and like his dream of putting a man on the moon, he actually had this very big dream of putting a man on the moon, and no matter what, NASA was everybody in NASA knew that this is what I'm working on, and this is what I have to do. This is what I have to deliver. And JFK was so clear in communicating this goal that everybody from the top to the bottom knew that this is what they are working towards. So one day JFK just went to NASA, and there was a janitor there who was just like sweeping up the floor or something, and JFK asked him that, what are you doing? And the janitor replied that, I'm trying to do my best to put a man on the moon. So that's how like the why was ingrained in every person at NASA, like from the top to the bottom. Even the janitor knew that his work has a purpose. This is what he's trying to do. He's trying to put a man on the moon. And that was really the reason that NASA could succeed, because like everybody knew this is what they're working on. There was no lack of communication. Everybody knew this is what they have to do. This is what they're trying to deliver, and why are they trying to do it. So here are some just quick framework for trying to be a better leader. So it's really important to ask for feedback at all points of time, because it's really difficult to understand whether people really understood what you're trying to say, whether you're doing things in the right way or not. And it's really important to have this feedback one-on-one, because oftentimes in group settings, people sort of hesitate, and they don't give you the right answers. But like, it's important to have this feedback and be ready for it at all times, because at Stanford I was taught that feedback is the best gift you can ever get, because only if you get feedback, that's how you'll be able to improve upon your skills and be better later on. I'll just launch the next poll. Yeah, so you can work on the answers while I'm going through this. Because one of the things that COVID-19 has brought about is that there's a huge spotlight on leadership right now, because everybody is looking for a leader. These are such uncertain times that everybody is really wanting to like get one person that would be able to like show him the light of the day and make him understand that this is something that's happening, and this is how you can solve it. So everybody is looking for leaders at this point of time, and it's really important for all of us to stand up and be those leaders, because like there's so many people who are going through so many crises, job loss, uncertainty, like many crises, Black Lives Matter, and everything is going on at the same point of time. So it's really important to have some people who have those 3 Ps, and are able to stand up for themselves and for others. So the next way to go about, specifically in cases of Zoom calls and all, is to think about the 6 hat thinking. So this is a book by Edward de Bono, in which like he mentions the six hats. So if, for example, if you think about a problem or maybe just a statement, then you have at least like 6 people or 6 teams think about like each and every aspect of that problem or that thinking, because that's how you'll be able to challenge yourself and to challenge the problem statement that you're working on, and make sure that you have thought about each and every aspect of that. Because and that's how like you'll come to the root cause of the problem and make your way forward for the solution. So, and it's really important to have that EQ, because like, for example, if you have maybe you're very intelligent and you're like the best in research and all of that, but like if you're not able to like be a good leader, be a good team player, be able to like work with others together, then it's not possible to like just pursue your dream or be successful on your own, because you need the help of other people along your journey. And it's really important to be empathetic, be out there for other people, and have the same persona, so that people know that if they call you maybe at 11 p.m. in the night or any time, that you'll be there to answer that phone call, you'll be there to communicate with them. And that's how like leaders are born. So I would like to stress on this point, that it's really important to think about the outcomes that you want, and then think about the process about how you want to get your statement across to the people. Because if you like analyze this a little bit deeper, then you'll be able to use the correct words to communicate with the people. So in summary, about leadership, it's just like it's very important to ask for feedback from each and every person that you work with. And oftentimes you'll get a lot of negative feedback as well, which is not criticism, but it's negative feedback is actually a gift, because you'll be able to tailor your words and tailor your entire processes accordingly. And it's really important to look for new perspectives to make sure like you're available to every person that's around you, because you never know from where the best ideas would come across. Like it's often the person at the factory floor, the janitor and all, who can actually see like what's the problem and how to solve it, because oftentimes in boardrooms we are unable to even understand the root cause of the problems. And it's really important to be empathetic, like the example that I gave about Indra Nooyi, and to make sure that the people know that you care, and you should actually care as well. And that's how you'll be able to communicate that feeling of empathy. So I'm getting some results from the poll. The first career choice is entrepreneurship. I think it's in line with a recent survey that I read as well on WAMDA about like the youth of the Middle East. They would like to be entrepreneurs, and it's a really good time to be entrepreneurs right now, because even the government is trying to support entrepreneurs. And I'm on the board of American University of Dubai University Incubator as well. They are trying to like promote a lot of students who can do their startups. And there are a lot of corporates that are ready to do pilot projects as well, because that's what was missing in the very beginning. Like the government and the corporate support is really required to actually launch a startup, make sure that you understand the product market fit, and you're able to get to the next stage. Because if you just like think about ideas and think about like doing something and all, and if you do, but you don't go out to the customers and try to like get the feedback from the customers, then you'll not be able to build a product that's suited for the customer. So there's a saying called, will the dogs eat the dog food? So let's say you're a dog food manufacturing company. You can make any sort of dog food, but if it's only if the dogs like the dog food, that's when your dog food would sell, right? So it's really important to get the customers to understand your product at each and every point of time, and you can get feedback from them and try to understand how to tailor your product accordingly. It's really important. Even at Stanford, I took the lean launchpad class by Steve Blank, and he used to like shout in the class saying that get out of the building. What he meant by get out of the building was that instead of like thinking about ideas and all of that, it's much better to actually execute on those ideas. Go out of the building and do some surveys, take some wireframes, build your MVP, and try to understand whether the customers actually like that or not. Because only if there's a need for the product would the product sell. Because otherwise you can just be in your dream world and try to build the perfect product, but like if you're not, the customers don't like it, then there's no point of actually going to the investors or going anywhere with that. So in the second poll, I got an answer of COVID-19 has actually increased the efficiency. That's somehow true. I get mixed answers for that, but like it's true that it has increased in efficiency in some ways, because you don't like lose time on the commute. You don't lose time while like sitting, going to the meeting room, sitting in the meeting room, then that all of that time waste that happens oftentimes. But it's also has its own consequences, because like these days, like the moment you roll out of bed, you are in your workplace or in your school, and there's no work life balance or school life balance sort of thing. So I think a number of corporates are also looking at that problem. They have like they're building up policies in terms of like these many Zoom calls or this much screen time is allowed and all. And like even with managers it becomes a problem at times, because when they expect their employees to like answer the phone call at any point of time, because where else would you be? You'd always be in front of the laptop or the phone, right? So it becomes a little challenging. So these are new set of problems that people are facing these days. Initially when COVID just started, a lot of people had this problem, okay, that I don't have a corner at my home. Where do I put up my workplace? How do I buy this desk and all of that? And now we are facing like next set of problems, that there's not enough work life balance and all. So it's a challenging circumstance that we are all living in, but I think like it's for the good. We are able to understand a lot of things. New technologies are coming. There's a lot of adoption that's happening for the new technologies as well. So if you look about telemedicine and all, like it has been around for a long period of time, but it's being adopted by the doctors and the patients now. And there's a lot of acceleration in new technologies adoption, in even the government is very much supportive of those things. So I think in some aspects COVID-19 is actually helping a lot of tech startups. A lot of people uh, are embracing technologies, and that's a good thing, but it has its own consequences, specifically in cases of mental well-being, not just for adults but even for children, because they're not interacting with others and they're not going out and playing and all of that. So that would definitely affect the social development of children later on as well. So a lot of new studies that are coming across on that aspect as well, and I'm very much concerned about that, because that would affect the entire generation of children that are coming up. So that was mainly it. This is a slide that I usually have. In this, on the left hand side, you can see the Vitruvian man. So this was like it's if you look, it's a man that's very much a perfect anatomical model, and it fits perfectly in the circle and the square. So what I'm trying to say is that this person, he was a painter, he was an artist, he understood anatomy and all, and like the reason that he was so successful was that he was a polymath. So polymath are people that are able to understand or able to correlate or relate to like many aspects of education. So like he like instead of being just a doctor, like for example, I understand the language of business, I understand finance, I understand many more things as well. And that actually gives me a broader aspect in terms of like maybe just being in the boardroom and looking at problems in a different sense, because polymaths are people who can actually help out in the next future of workplace as well. And that's why I wanted to have this slide, because there's a lot of job insecurity at this point of time. A lot of people students are getting concerned whether like AI or ML would take up their jobs and all of that. But I would like to stress, like if you build up enough skills, then you'll always be relevant, because AI and ML can take up maybe the repetitive tasks that are happening and all. But like if you are a generalist, if you understand many big aspects of things, then you're able to, you'll be the one who'll be building programs of AI and ML later on, because that general things and that innovation that happens at the intersection of various disciplines, it's really important, and it would remain. So it's nothing to be worried about. But I would like to stress that there's so many opportunities these days, so many online courses. You're studying at a very good university, so just try to take advantage of this and try to be a little bit more disciplined, and try to learn as many skills as possible. And that's when you'd be able to see what you really want to do in life, and you can actually pursue that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ruchi. That was really insightful. And I, one second, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I don't know, there's an issue with the video. So, anyways, thank you so much. That was really insightful and very interesting and fantastic to go through. I will quickly see what the students want to know. Well, there's one question where they would want to know what is the right degree that they can do, after their basic education if they are wanting to pursue medicine. So they are not, so they might have done their graduation or something, but they want to pursue their career in medicine. So what is it that they can pursue?
Yeah, and so in terms of
What
medicine,
education?
yeah, in terms of if you really want to be a doctor, then you can pursue the clinical studies for medicine and be a doctor, be an MD. And but if you want to like work on the innovation side of the healthcare system, then you can even pursue like biomedical engineering, because that's a very relevant topic, and it helps quite a lot because it has the aspects of medicine and the engineering knowledge as well. And there's so many like new molecules and new particles that are being invented and being used these days, and there are a number of VC firms as well that are focusing just on biomedical stuff. So it's a relevant thing to work on. But if you want to be a proper doctor, then it's definitely the clinical studies that you have to pursue, and that would take you to the next step.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So, Doctor, what has been your leadership mantra? What is that one thing or one that, the thing that you follow and, you've achieved so much, so you would like to learn?
Sure. So I always try to make it leadership by example. And the reason for that is that when I was a student back in my school, I remember one day very, very clearly, there was a gallery of the school, and the principal was walking in front of me. Principal and a couple of teachers were walking in front of me. And I was just walking behind them, just normal with my friends. And there was a piece of garbage on the floor, like a paper thrown on the floor, and the principal got down, and she picked up piece of paper and went to the garbage tin, and threw that paper in the garbage bin. So that's when I realized that like that was leadership by example, because that completely shook that, and the teachers, the students, the faculty, everybody, because it was such a like small thing, like everybody was going through the same gallery, everybody was seeing that paper, but nobody took action. And the principal, even though she was like, she could have asked anybody to do it, but she was the one who actually picked up the paper and went to the garbage bin and threw it off. So that was an example of leadership. And she didn't need to even open her mouth or say anything, but it became so much ingrained in not just me but the entire school, that everybody followed her, and tried to do that. So similarly, I always try to work on leadership by example. I try to like do things in which like I can do things with my own hand, and try to show people that this is what is possible. And then that's when like people actually follow and try to do their best as well.
Absolutely, that's fantastic, because actions like this, actions speak louder than words, and I
Yeah.
think doing it really inspires people. There is somebody who wants to Banmeet, who wants to understand that there are a lot of businesses that are incurring losses, and there are businesses that are shutting down. Do you think there is? I think what they want to understand is it correct to blame the pandemic for the economic losses, or is it something that we can still make best out of? So how can we use the current situation and still continue running our businesses?
Yeah, it actually depends a lot on the kind of business that you were in. So there are certain businesses, certain startups, and all that are getting the right tailwinds that are getting accelerated because of COVID-19. For example, like healthcare, health tech, education tech. These are industries that are working forward, and they're getting the right tailwinds. They're getting the right support right now. At the same time, there are some traditional businesses that are facing a lot of problems. For example, like hotel, tourism, travel. These are industries that are largely hit by COVID-19. So it's not an excuse, it's actually the reality that they have been hit by the crisis. But the best way to move forward would be to try to understand, like, is there a way they can take advantage of the situation and work towards the next step, because there are also a number of small business relief grants, COVID-19 relief packages, and all that small businesses can try to take advantage of. And there's always this option of upskilling your staff, and make sure the staff is relevant for other industries as well, and maybe try to enter another industry, or try to see if your business can go online and things like that. For example, I've seen a number of like retail businesses that were like badly hit by COVID-19, but now they've like totally switched to the online model, and they are doing fine now. So it's all about like how quickly you adapt to the crisis, because like in the beginning it's really difficult for everybody, like but if you're able to like think think about like the situation, which think with your personal board or your company board, and think about the solutions that can be incorporated into the current situation, then you can make maybe move forwards. For example, in terms of businesses, I can give some examples of having credit insurance. So credit insurance is something that not many businesses pay attention to, but it can actually be a big relief in times like of crisis. So credit insurance is when you don't get payment from your clients, you can actually use the insurance company to get the payment, and the insurance company securitizes the payment, so you get the payment on time. So this is one example. And then apart from that, there were like in the UAE there was this thing that about like you can have your employees work for other companies as well if you don't have like enough work for your employees. So that was one way to like make sure that the at least the workers are in good shape. And apart from that, there are a lot of things like the force majeure clauses or renegotiation of rents, and renegotiation of rent not just with the place that you rent out, but also with the governments. And the governments were answering, and they were doing very fine. And also on the payment of loans and negotiation with the banks were answerable, and they were doing their best in terms of pushing back the loans and giving some sort of haircuts. So I think everybody understood that this was a bad period of time for various industries, and people were trying to understand that the government was supported, the banks were supportive, and that's how like it's always really important to make sure that you know that these are the avenues, these are the stakeholders that might support you at this point of time, and you should just go and ask for help, because if you don't ask for help then you never get it. So I always say this line by Oprah Winfrey, that you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. So for example, if you don't ask your landlord to reduce the rent, or if you don't ask the bank to like push back on the interest rates or things like that, then they'll never do it, right? But it's only about like going and asking for it. Like the worst that could happen is you'll get a no, right? That's it. But at least you tried, and oftentimes then not. I've seen that people are really supportive in times of crisis, and that helps a lot for the small businesses.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well quoted, the opera line. I think that's really interesting. We have another very interesting question from Nihal. They are saying that sometimes we don't end up in satisfaction when we have achieved our dreams, and we are constantly wanting more. So, what is the advice that you want to give college students not keep pushing yourself? So where is that line? How do we draw that line of to keep constantly wanting more or be satisfied? It's a difficult decision.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult decision, and sometimes I've seen like people overanalyze things and maybe get really in a bad situation because of that. But I think like the best way forward would be like to think about things in a very logical way, whether the things that you're trying to pursue, the dreams that you have, are they even achievable? And maybe like since you're just a person, it's you might not have a board like a corporate board, but I would really advise you to have a small personal board. So personal board would be people like mentors, advisors who can help you out, who can try to think about the problem that you're facing right now. And they are the ones who can actually help you, and even make sure that you are accountable for your actions. Because oftentimes what happens is people dream about things, they really want to do it, but they don't take action towards it, and the board can actually hold you accountable. Because for example, if you tell them that this is something you want to do in this quarter, and you have a quarterly call with them, then they can actually follow up with you, and you can also be liable that okay, this is what I promised to the board and this is what I have to do. Because it's small baby steps that lead you to the end goal. You cannot like achieve anything in the first quarter, but if you take like some action towards that goal, eventually you'll get there. And the advisors and the mentors that you would have in your own personal board, those would be the ones who would actually be able to help you, to guide you, and they would be the ones who would be able to understand whether like it makes sense to pursue this or not, and like make sure that you have some sort of balance in your life, and you're not like putting in too much of effort that you're losing out on your personal life. So I think it's really important to have such people in your life who can actually help you out, and they can just be normal listeners, but they'll be able to understand the problem, and they'll be able to guide you later on as well, because they'll see your journey all through. And they can also many times help you out in terms of connections and all, to expedite the process that you're working on.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. We have a question, Doctor, where uh, they want to know that if you want to become an entrepreneur, other than MBA, what would you recommend them to, study or get a degree in? What would it be?
Yeah, an MBA is not really necessary for becoming an entrepreneur. There are school dropouts, college dropouts that are very successful entrepreneurs. But I would like to say that it's really important that you go out and network and meet the right people, because oftentimes they're not. It's like if people just think about things in their own head, then they're not able to get a third opinion on the same thing. So it's really important to have that support structure and go out in the market and try to talk to your customers and see that whether the thing that you're working on is really a valid thing or not. In terms of a degree, I would say any degree would do, as long as it's relevant to your course of entrepreneurship that you want to pursue. And even if it's not relevant, it's really important to at least complete your basic education and then think about entrepreneurship, or maybe do it on the side. Because going straight away as a dropout into entrepreneurship is a very big risk. And somehow it's not really acceptable in the culture that we live in here. It's because failure is not a badge of honor here, unlike in some other parts of the world. So it's really important to at least complete your basic education and then think about entrepreneurship. And if there's something that you're really passionate about, like healthcare or things, then you can definitely take that degree. But otherwise, I would say it's not really necessary to go for an MBA or a particular degree to pursue your real passion. It's really important to talk to the actual people on the ground, to talk to the customers that you have in mind, to go out to various events, meetups, and do a lot of networking, because these networking things would actually help you later on in life, even though you're not fundraising on the first day. But you will eventually fundraise, and it's the network that you build over time, of course, that can provide you warm introductions to the angels or the VCs and all later on. So it's really important to start early and to start networking really early, because you never know who the next person could help you out with.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think we are in an age today, thanks to social media and all the platforms, that networking, I think, has become much more easier. It's easy to get in touch with the who's who and, connect with them. So it becomes easy. So, Doctor, very interesting question. What do you identify yourself more with, a doctor or a businesswoman?
So I've been in the healthcare space, and so that's something that I'm really passionate about, but more on the business side of healthcare space, because I like to see bigger problems and think about like bigger solutions. Because even though as a doctor, I would have I would have been able to change a number of lives, but I think being on the business side of things, I can be able to bring about a bigger impact. So that's what I relate to more these days.
Great, great. Another question, Doctor. What would be your interests beyond work?
Sure, that's a good question. So I have a number of hobbies. I love listening to podcasts, and I love getting new knowledge. I'm learning currently a number of online courses as well, and that really helps me brush up the knowledge as well. So I'm really passionate about learning and studying. That's sort of been my hobby as well. Otherwise, I have a 2.5-year-old daughter that keeps me very much busy. So that's another way in which I can de-stress a lot.
Oh, that's really nice. And how do you, with such busy schedules and everything, how are you able to, manage both these professions? Being a mother and being a professional. How do you manage that around?
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult and challenging, but because I also travel a lot to the US, but this year things have been a little bit easy. But e-learning has been difficult, very much difficult, especially with a 2.5-year-old. So we are just struggling with it right now. But otherwise, it's very good to actually have like a kid in the house when you're really stressed out of work, and then you come and you see that smile. It actually takes away all the stress away.
Absolutely. Best stress busters to have. I think they kind of uplift you from wherever you are and bring you back on.
Yeah.
Well, Doctor, Doctor, thank you so much for your time. It has been totally fantastic. Lot of learning, lot of understandings. Really appreciate and really humbled by your time and we've learned a lot, and it has been great. Thank you so much for being and joining us today, and it was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anjali. Thank you so much. And I would like to say this to the students, and I'm happy to mentor anybody that reaches out to me, and I'm happy to support anybody that wants any sort of advice, because I really think that I'm at a point of time in my life where like I'm ready to give back to the society, because at I was once in this situation, and I was looking for like people who could actually help me out at that point of time. So I think like this is the right time for me to actually like connect back to the students, and make sure that I provide the right kind of advice, because that can make a lot of difference in people's lives. I understand that.
That is fantastic. That is really encouraging, and thank you so much for giving us this platform to for students to reach out to you and to understand. That is so nice of you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ruchi. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you, Doctor.